Farm Basics is brought to you by the Liberty Link trait and Liberty herbicide from Bayer. The most reliable weed management solution, Liberty Link and Liberty herbicide are the link to efficient row crop production and sustainable weed management.
Darren and I get a lot of questions from non-farmers in the wintertime that say, well, there's all this snow out there. Doesn't it kill winter crops like winter wheat? How can it possibly survive the winter?
Well, I'm happy there's not snow that we're standing in right
Exactly.
now, Brian, because snow is a little cool.
It kind of looks like snow, though, behind us. We might be getting some of that yet today.
But when you think about snow, think about what it's like underneath it. Snow actually acts as insulation. And when you have a nice layer of snow over a winter crop, yeah, the snow is cold, but you think about the air temperature above that snowdrift. The air temperature can vary wildly. In our part of the world, we can get 20 or 30 below 0 Fahrenheit pretty easy. While underneath that snow layer, the temperature stays fairly constant. And that's what's really good for winter crops, is having that insulation layer where you're going to have a constant temperature underneath.
One of the other very important things in order for the crops to survive the winter, like winter wheat, for example, or winter canola, is that they get a good start in the fall. And sometimes what'll happen in the fall is it will be really dry in some areas, or harvest will get delayed, and so farmers are a little late planting their fall seeded crops. And if those crops don't get a good start in the fall, they don't get some growth, they don't get the roots established, then they don't have as much that's kind of built up already so they can survive the winter. So that's a very, very important thing. So we talk a lot to farmers about having good, that early in the year, weed control, disease control, insect control. You can't have the plant damaged. You can't have it growing poorly going into the winter. Otherwise, chances are we're going to have winter kill.
Well, the other thing, Brian, is you want to have a good start in the spring. And I like having that snowfall out there because you know there's moisture. It's going to melt and soak into the soil and give that plant the early boost that it needs in the spring to get going. So just from the standpoint of getting some moisture, I think snow is a good thing to have out in the winter. So in the spring, it's going to melt in your field. Now you look at where a lot of the winter crops are grown, and in our area, it's some of the drier ground and arid climates, and those kind of areas really like having a little extra moisture around.
Well, they do, but the problem is they don't always get it. And so what'll happen sometimes is they might get some early snow, but then here it ends up January, they get some melting, the snow kind of disappears, and now they're just about back to the dirt, and that's not good for that winter crop. Also, we had some problems last year, for example, when it got exceptionally warm in February, way too early for our part of the country, and some of the plants actually started to green up. They thought it was spring. Well, it wasn't spring yet. A lot of cold temperatures came along after that and killed off some of that winter wheat that we had in our area. So that does get to be a real issue. It's very challenging for farmers. And I was talking to a non-farmer just the other day, and he said, boy, you guys must be awful good gamblers or something, because last few years it's turned out pretty good, but I wouldn't want to take all that risk. And as a farmer, and for both Darren and me, we've been farmers our whole life, we've kind of gotten used to all that risk that there is out there. But again, what farmers will do to try to minimize the risk is they will get that crop growing good early in the fall, and then just pray for some good snow over the winter to keep that insulated.
Two other quick points, Brian. With that snow, if you get some growth, now you have something to catch that snow out in your field. So that's another reason that early growth is important.
Yep.
The other thing, once you have snow over the crop, you don't have ice. And that's one thing that people worry about is, wow, if we get some freezing rain, instead of getting snow right away, we can have a layer of ice that doesn't allow oxygen through for those plants, and we can have some death underneath the ice.
Well, when I would like that ice, Darren, is when we've got our Weed of the Week out there. I think we could kill it with that ice. We'll tell you how to stop it more conventionally, though, on your farm coming up later in the show.